Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. I am so glad that you joined us today. And today I have an actress and a national speaker. She's from the movie LifeMark, and she's going to tell her story. I'd like to welcome to Morning Moments Melissa Coles.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. And tell me, Melissa, what do you do and why do you do it?
Oh, loaded question from the get-go. Um, okay, so let's cut kind of back to 2017 because I knew God my whole life, but because you know God doesn't mean you're living for God. And I don't think I could say that I was actually saved until I met my husband. And his name is Sean Coles. We've been married going on 17 years ago. Or 17 years. And he's the one that really brought me back to the Lord. It was a work in progress, but yeah, I'm so thankful for him every day. And we just, we kind of live normal lives, but whenever we first met, and I, in 2017, I had, I was saved at this point. I had looked up kind of like, I always do this, like God is like right here, talking to me. And I'm like, Lord, I'm like, there's got to be more to life than this. I feel like it's kind of clock in, clock out, do the same thing day after day, all the time. I'm like, I want to go places. I want to see things. I want to experience new cultures. I want to see everything. That's not asking too much, right? And before I knew it, I received a phone call. And um, this phone call was from the Kendrick brothers and Kurt Cameron, and they were wanting me to do sign a release so that they could make a movie about part of my life. And when I say part of my life, it's part of my life, part of my birth son, and part of his mom and dad's life. And it's from a documentary called I Lived on Parker Avenue. I was on an abortion table when I was 18 years old, and I was seconds away from going through with an abortion. And a couple of God incidences happened, and I'm so thankful for that. I ended up placing my son for adoption and thinking I would never get to see him again. 19 years later, we were reunited through a documentary called I Lived on Parker Avenue. I got to hug my birth son for the first time since the day I gave birth to him. And we went skydiving the next day. And people's like, whoa, wait a minute. You beat your birth son after 19 years and you go skydiving the next day. I'm like, yep, something he'll never forget. So it was a really beautiful, beautiful moment to be able to see him and his mom and dad and grandma, grandpa. It was just very wonderful. Um, After I Lived on Parker Avenue came out, Philip Braun, who was the director of that, called and said, hey, Melissa, he's like, Fox and Friends would like to have you on the news program with David and Susan. I'm like, you mean on TV? He's like, yeah. I go, you mean in front of like 1.6 million people? He goes, yeah. I'm like, I don't think I can do that. And my husband's like, but babe, and I get this all the time, but babe, that's kind of our thing. He says, what if it helped even one person? Is it not worth it? So as nervous as I was, I agreed to go ahead and do it. And then before we got off the phone, Philip says, oh, and by the way, the Maria Regina High School would like you to come talk to the girls the day before your interview. And I said, you mean in person? Then he said, yeah. And I said, I don't know that I can do that. He goes, yeah, you can. And so Sean again goes, but babe, if it helps even one person, is it not worth it? So I go, it's my first time ever speaking. Now, keep in mind, I was very shy growing up. Like, I could not even speak to my high school class and read a chapter without having an anxiety attack. It was that bad. But yet I could go to drama and act. I, it's so weird. I know. So I go to the Maria Regina High School, and I met it's an all girls Catholic school. They were wonderful. They knew I was nervous when I got there. It was obvious to anyone, but they comforted me, and they were just really receiving everything about the documentary and the meaning behind it. And so, I go on Fox and Friends the next day, and then my phone starts going off, and people are like, hey, can you come speak here, can you come speak there? And I look at my husband kind of like, I don't know that I'm supposed to do this. And he's like, you've been asking God. He said, we prayed about this together. You've been asking God for a change. What do you think's happening right now? He's like, take a leap of faith and go do this. So I go ahead and I go on my first couple of speaking events. And it was very nerve wracking at the beginning. And as I continued to do it more and more and more, I started to really come out of my shell and become really expressive as I am in real life. So it I became a public speaker. And so the next thing I know, I have an agent, and her name is Gloria, and she's with the Ambassador Speakers Bureau. And so I have a speaking agent now, and I've been speaking since 2017. I advocate for the beauty of adoption and to help end infant abandonment. I do schools, churches, um, pregnancy centers, galas, fundraising events. I love doing fundraising events, and I love talking to the teenagers because that's so much fun for me. They are so fun to be around. So it's really been beautiful. Well, as my life is continuing on as a public speaker, I get the phone call that the Kendricks are wanting to do a movie based on the documentary I Lived on Parker Avenue. And at first, I kind of halfway think it's a joke, and I hung up on somebody not once, but twice, but I'm not going to say who that was. So I ended up, somebody contacted me back again, and they're like, hey, and they get me on Zoom. They're like, it's really us. So it kind of began from there. And I didn't want to do the movie. And a lot of people say, now, wait a minute. The Kendrick brothers and Kirk Cameron are on the phone with you in Zoom, and you don't want to do a movie. And I'm like, but you don't understand. And they're like, well, millions, or not millions, but thousands of people contact them every year to try to get their stories told. But I didn't, I was on my own path, and I didn't want someone coming in and taking that from me and telling me what I can or cannot do. So, I was like, I don't want stipulations. I am my own self. I want to be able to go my own path. And I've always been kind of a leader to do my own thing. And that's what I want to be able to do. And they go, but Melissa, we want to encourage you. We don't want to stop you. We want to help you expand your platform in speaking. They weren't kidding at all. They have been nothing but gracious and so kind, and really have helped me expand that platform by the movie LifeMark, by the way, which hit #2 in the nation. And here in the US, for a faith-based movie, it was supposed to play 7 days. It played 7 weeks. And then it went to multiple countries, and it's still in multiple countries. I'm still receiving messages and mail pretty much on a daily basis from people that said, hey, I just watched LifeMark and I was adopted, or I was almost aborted, or whatever their story was. So it's still impacting people, and it's been really, really beautiful. But while I was on the set of LifeMark, they were gracious enough to let me come to set for a week, and my husband and I. And it relit this fire in me that I've had since high school. And I mean, who doesn't dream of being an actress or an actor? I mean, I think a lot of people, it's kind of back there a little bit. But I was beat down so much growing up, and had a rough life. And I was pretty much told I was ugly and stupid, and it doesn't happen for people like me. And so I kind of put that on the back burner. And then when I got on the set, I felt like I came alive. And Alex was like, you can go ahead and go back to your room if you want. And I'm like, do I have to? And he's like, no. And I'm like, then I'm staying until you leave. So I would come on set really early every morning, and we would walk out with Alex every night. I wouldn't leave until I had to leave a set, because I wanted to learn, and I wanted to be there, and I wanted to soak the moments in. And they wanted a little bit of feedback from a few of the scenes that I was really important in at that time. And so, it I I don't know, it lit this fire in me. And Alex goes, because they had me play a prank on Dawn, which plays the more mature Melissa in LifeMark, and they had me play a prank on her, and they're like, well, we didn't know you could act. And I was just like, yeah, I'm like, when I was younger, blah blah blah. And he's like, I think you need to maybe look into that a little bit more. And so when I got home from LifeMark, I had auditioned for a role, and it was in a movie called Disciples of the Moonlight. It's in post production. It's not out just yet, and I had a audition for the role. I assumed I didn't get it because it had been a long time and I hadn't heard back. And I figured, well, I'm just dreaming big, you know. And then one day my phone rings and it was Brett Varble. And we're talking on the phone and he's on speaker, so my husband's hearing everything. And he's like, and so we're talking, and then all of a sudden he goes, well, the main reason for the call was I wanted to offer you the role of blah 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 blah. And I couldn't speak. Like it was like duct tape was over my mouth. And he's like, are you there? And Sean goes, she's here, she's here. And I just literally couldn't speak. And so then it's like I got my first official paid job as an actual actress ever. Like it's official. No one can strip me of this. I did it. You know, was it a one-time thing? I don't know. Well, it ended up not. So things have kind of progressed from there. And so I did the documentary. I lived on Parker Avenue. We did the movie LifeMark, then Disciples in the Moonlight, and America's Prayer is next, and that will be coming out this summer. I'm very excited about that. I play a boxer and a mom, so I'm very, very excited about that. And I've got a few other deals. I Want to Jump is going to be coming out. Well, it's actually filming right now, and it's a very sensitive subject and close to my heart, and that's about suicide. So I really, I want to do the best that I can do, obviously, in anything that I do, but that's a passion project for me, so I want to be sure that I do justice to my character in that. And then that landed me, all these other projects landed me a couple of bigger roles, and I got offered a role in a motion picture, so I'm like a big motion picture. So I'm super, super excited, but it's under wraps and I'm not allowed to talk about it right now. So God is just, he's been such a blessing, and he's just been opening up so many doors, things I never dreamt possible. And I had been praying not too long ago before that most recent. And, I was just thanking him for everything, and I didn't like hear an audio voice, but like I heard him speak through me, and I just heard him say, I'm about to open doors that you've never even dreamt of. So I don't know what that means. So, but I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with it.
And I'm excited for you too, because I know the best is yet to come for you. Uh, Melissa, thank you so much for being my guest here in Morning Moments.
You're welcome. Thank you. And don't forget, you're never too old. You're not ugly. You're beautiful and you're strong, and you got this.
That's right. You got this. Uh, Keep your eyes on what's going on with Melissa with her projects that she could even announce some of them. So she's got some great projects that's coming in the future. Please get in contact with her if you'd like for her to speak at your event. She is a national speaker, and God's just blessed her so much with her story and be able to share it with others. As we close today, I'd like for you to take the time and pray for Melissa that God would continue to use her and her life story that she has to touch so many hearts. You see, Melissa needs your prayers, folks, and you need to practice. So please, please, please pray for her. Pass this message on to somebody else. Keep coming back, and may God richly bless you.